Hello, Health Stream. How you doing? I have to say, I just got out of yoga. I feel really good. I am getting over this whole health scare that I just had, and I'm feeling good about it. So that makes me happy. You know, it helps all your brain chemicals. Yoga does, being healthy does. So, you know, everything's connected. The health stream, pain stream, relationship stream, career stream, they're all connected. We separate things into subjects in this world. We separate our body into different parts and systems, but they're all connected. So, you know, one feeds off the other, feeds off the other. So it's important to try to balance all aspects of your life so that you can attain happiness. Happiness is the thing, it's the key, it's the purpose, it's the reason, in my opinion. So today, I would like to talk about men in yoga. Now, I wanted to talk about this subject for a while because I love men in yoga. We need more men in yoga. And, but you know, I'm not the end-all be-all expert subject matter on anything. So I hesitate, being a woman, hesitate to talk about men in yoga. But I want to because I feel like there's some tips, some little tips that I noticed that you might need some help with. Maybe not. Now, I'm talking about this from the perspective of a societal structure in the New York tri-state area, suburbia. So this may not apply globally. It may not apply in anywhere outside of the 5 miles that I live, or it might not even apply outside of my head. But based on conversations I've had with other people, it probably applies for a lot farther out than my head. But keep in mind, this is my opinion, and it is, these recommendations are given in good faith, I promise you, the best of faith, because we need more men in yoga. And because bottom line is, right, it's a male-dominated world, dominated society, and yoga is good for stress reduction, it's good for your health, it's good for just your balance overall and presence in the world. So presence in yourself and your body and the present. So the more men we can get to do that, the better. Now I don't know. I mean, I've heard different things about yoga in India. I've heard that yoga is not as widely practiced in India, or that the practice is more a spiritual practice and the physical aspects are not as widely practiced, that it's a male-dominated practice there. I don't know. I can't speak to that. But all I do know is that here in my area, yoga is a very female-dominated, upper-class type of activity. And why is it that? Well, it's pretty expensive to do. And people with money can do things that are expensive. People with money are also generally, one, have more time to do things like take care of their body, two, have more knowledge on how to best take care of their body, and three, I don't want to say they're happier because that's not necessarily true, but if you are living a pretty good lifestyle and you are happy, then you want to live that to the best of your ability for as long as you can. So that makes total sense. Why this activity would be a white, upper class activity in this country. Not being racist there, it's just, look, in this country, white people have more of the money. And the female part of it, I think, is more because it's a practice that is more, I mean, people equate it to flexibility a lot. It requires a lot of strength, and to be honest, And the hottest men that I've seen go on Instagram are yogis. Oh my God. Like, if you want to be hot, be a male yogi. If you want to get chicks, be a male yogi. I mean, go and keep doing it. Be a yoga instructor. I promise you, your life will change 180 if you're having issues in that department. But, like, literally, go on Instagram and look at male yogis. Enough said. So, the reason why I want to talk about this is because we need more men in yoga. And it's a huge, usually men in yoga that in my limited assessment, they go into yoga for two reasons. One, they're physically hurt, or there's something that happened to them physically that caused them that this was their only option of exercise or their only path to get better. So they were turned on to yoga, and then they saw the positive results and then became obsessed with it, and it became an addictive lifestyle because it does make you feel that much better and change your life that much for the better. It's not overnight, but it's gradual. And that's when habits really get formed, right? Is when they're gradual. The other thing is addictions. A lot of people get into yoga because they have addictions, and this is a positive way to divert that obsessive behavior to a positive addiction. So people will transition that from these negative substances to a positive, because a lot of the benefits of yoga maybe are similar to benefits that people are getting from whatever other type of escapism, medical self-medication, escapism they're already looking for. So that's great. That's hugely positive. And then the other reason is that they're just that enlightened, that they have determined this is a very good thing for them. They want to live long, happy lives. And this has been proven and studied to attain that. So they, regardless of what other externalities might be affecting them, they gravitate toward yoga because they assess, this is a good thing for me, therefore I will do this because I want to do good things for me. Now, there are negatives, and they are difficult for people to overcome, and those are societal pressures of that's a female type activity, that's a woman thing, you might get made fun of by your guy friends, it's not very masculine. While those are all false and not true, they're very ingrained in our society for some reason. I guess if you're not groaning and huffing and lifting heavy things, then it's not manly. Okay. I mean, if manly means risking serious injury and just tending towards major muscle groups of your body, okay. I don't know. I don't think so. But to me, the most masculine men are the ones who are secure enough in their masculinity to go into a yoga studio, not worry about who else is in there or what they look like or the fact that maybe they're the only male in the class, because that will oftentimes be the case. Now, that being said, if you do go to yoga as a man, congratulations. I'm very happy. And if you don't, maybe this will help you, encourage you to go, but also give you some tips on maybe how to feel more comfortable when you're in the class. And they all kind of have to do with ego, some with hygiene, but mostly with ego. And you've overcome a lot of those restrictions just walking into the studio, just going into one class. You've already kind of are tampering down on that ego by walking into a place you already know is you are not the majority, which is not the normal experience for white males in our society. So it's an uncomfortable, but keep in mind, this is the experience for most other people in society, that they go into a situation and they're most likely not going to be the majority in any room or any situation, unless you're going to the perfume counter in a department store, or a ladies' shoe store, or obviously, you know, any female dominated thing, or anything where you know you're going to go, and it's going to be your demographic. Wherever you are is focused on your demographic. But in normal society, and especially in the workplace, no, white male dominated. It's just what you're used to. Most movies are, and media is geared toward that demographic. And as we get away from that, like in Star Wars, there's a huge backlash about that. And that's okay. Let the backlash happen. We'll get over it. Anyway, I'm getting so far off topic. So, the ego. Congratulations for getting over the ego just going into the class. You will benefit greatly from it. Your life will be forever transformed. This I know. However, when you're in the class, you might be the only one there, but take a look at your surroundings. I'm not saying look at the other people who are, you know, very scantily clad. What I am saying is look at your surroundings. Gauge what's the vibe? What's happening in the room? Well, what I'll tell you is that no one is making themselves the center of attention. The ego. No one is huffing and puffing or moaning. The ego. No one is doing handstands in every other pose. Usually the ego. And no one's moaning. I don't know if I said that. And no one is competing with anyone else. The ego. So the yoga means union. Union, we are all one. And it's bringing you to that realization. So that is really the point of yoga, is to really get through and kind of tear away at that ego. So even if you're there just for the physical practice, you're going to get some of those benefits of tearing down the ego just because of the design of the practice. So, and that's not just yoga, right? I mean, I remember I used to run a lot. I ran a lot of half marathons, one marathon, and that is a significant endurance training, is a huge study in patience and the tampering of your ego. Because why? You can't just go out of the gate and start running so fast, because you're never going to finish the race. You have to start slow and hold yourself back, right? So this is not just physical activity as it pertains to yoga. This can be found in many other aspects of life. I just happen to be talking about yoga right now. And yoga happens to be very effective at this. So, the breathing. Well, the center of attention. Let's start with that. So, typically, if there is a class and someone is making themselves the center of attention, it's usually the guy. They're usually making jokes during class, but notice nobody else is talking, or they're being loud, or breathing very heavy, or moaning. You do you, but there are going to be other people in the class, and they're having their own experience, and maybe you're taking away from their experience. You're also not supposed to breathe heavy or moan during yoga. You're supposed to be able to do the practice breathing in and out through your nose. So if you're pushing yourself too hard, then while you're breathing in and out through your nose, and it's hard, don't get me wrong, this is a hard thing to do. But if you're breathing too hard that you can't continue breathing in and out through your nose, then you have to just relax, sit back in child's pose, take a breather. You're never going to be able to do the practice properly, breathing in and out through your nose, if you never practice that. So you have to keep yourself at 70% effort and do what you can up until there, and then rest. Come back in. This is hard to do in our society. Not push ourselves to 100. That's probably why you're in yoga, right? Maybe a little too much stress in your life. Maybe you don't know when to pull back. But if you're doing that, if you're breathing out of your mouth, if you're breathing too heavy and going over 70%, you're doing it wrong. So how does that benefit you to keep doing something wrong, regardless of what level it's at? And so that can apply to all areas of your life. You can be pushing and pushing and pushing, but if you're just going, and you're doing a crappy job, just because you push harder doesn't make it a better job. It just means you're going to be doing more crappy job. That doesn't seem to make sense to me, but okay. But anyway, so keep in mind that other people in the class are trying to have their experience, and you're moaning and your heavy breathing might be impinging on that. Aside from the fact that, you know, if you are in your ego, here's a tip. They all think that you're silly and doing it wrong. So how's that for your ego? Think about that. Just remember, everyone else in the class is going, look at that guy. The hell? He doesn't get it. He's not doing it right. Ugh. So if you're going to stick with your ego, then let your ego think that everyone else is going, nobody told him what to do. Whatever works for you. So the center of attention, no heavy breathing, no moaning. Now, I have heard of one woman moaning, and it's funny. She moans at the end of class. It's really distracting because it's a sexual moan, and it's really uncomfortable for everyone else. So to be honest, when she does it, I start doing it. And then when I start doing it, then the instructor gets like, that's like a sign to the instructor, like, hello, this person is really inappropriate, and then they'll finally say something. So they won't do it. They won't say that, but once I start doing it and start like exaggerating it, then they're like, okay, everyone, quiet, which is fine. That works for me because that's why I did it. So, but that's only one woman out of hundreds that have been in class, while a lot of men, and out of how few of them are in the yoga class I've been in, I would say maybe 25% of them moan. You may not know you're doing it, but just maybe take more time to think about it. You know, there's probably a lot of things in this world, in this life, that you don't know you're doing, that maybe people have to turn you on to, and once they do, you'll think about it and recognize that that's the case. 70% of effort, and this is just good for your yoga practice. This is for everyone. 70% of effort, breathe in and out of your nose, and your practice will improve. Listen to the instructor. Be present. So the reason why I'm doing this today is because someone was next to me. There was a guy that was next to me, and he was breathing heavy, and he was pushing and pushing, and you know, he was doing a handstand with every vinyasa. If you don't know what that is, that's fine, but like every 5 minutes he was doing a handstand. Okay, he could do a handstand. Congratulations. He couldn't do a warrior 1. He couldn't do a warrior 2. Okay, great. You can go stand on your head. That's not what yoga, the point of yoga is to not do a handstand. That's not the point of it. The point of it is to be present. Was he present? No, because she was calling out cues and he was constantly doing the wrong thing. Why? Because he wasn't listening. He wasn't present. He was just thinking, what can I do next? And I know that he was gauging what he was doing off of me, because towards the end of class, he couldn't finish like anything. Every pose he was stopping, he just couldn't do it. Because why? Because it became a competition for him. He was competing with me. He wasn't self-aware enough to say, okay, I'm going to do my best today, he was saying, no, I'm going to do better than her. I'm going to gauge myself off her and do better than her. And I wasn't competing with him, but I because I can do a lot in yoga, I tend to be more aware in the class. So when people do this to me, I can sense it. And then I start having fun in games. So I went into crow pose, which is, you know, Google it. But you're on your hands, and then you put your knees over here, and you're just balancing your whole body on your hands. And he was resting. He didn't want to do it. And then I did crow, and then he did crow. And then I was like, oh, that's what I was like. Light bulb went off. I was like, oh, I see how this is going. All right, let's do this, because you're already exhausted, and I could do a whole nother class. So he did crow, and I was like, all right, let's see how this goes. So then the next time we went into crow, and she said, okay, do it, and you could go into headstand if you want and shoot back. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went into crow, and from crow I put my head on the floor, went up into a handstand, and he went to do crow, and then he just sat down. Came back down, and then shot back into chaturanga. And I'm not saying, oh, I'm better than you or anything, but it was fun to kind of play games with him. Like, okay, you burned yourself out in the first half hour of class doing whatever, you know, unnecessary things you were doing, because, I mean, there's no reason to be doing headstands or handstands in class if you can't do a warrior one properly. That's bottom line, just ego. So then I have fun playing with that. So then at the end of class, we were doing boat pose, which is you put your arms out and your legs up, and then it's hard. It's really hard. Very slowly lay back down, and you have to use your ab muscles to hold you up. And so here we are, and I could tell he didn't want to go down before I did, so I just hovered there. I was like, I could sit here all day, dude. Let's see how long you can go. And then he just flopped down. And then I went down really slow. So God bless him. You know, it's good to have goals, I guess. But it's your practice. It's for you to better yourself. And by bettering yourself and controlling your ego, you will be happier. And you will radiate that out to the rest of the world, and the world will be a better place. Yoga is not a competition. Life is not a competition. Yoga is not aerobics. This is not an aerobic activity. You're not supposed to be flopping around. You're not supposed to be doing things fast. The slower you do them, the better. So, I mean, this is all that, even though I'm saying this for the benefit of everyone in class, it's mostly the benefit of you. Because if you do yoga properly, then your practice will accelerate greatly. If you do it wrong, you're going to get hurt, and you're not going to see the benefits, and you're not going to see progress. You're just going to huff and puff, and eventually, and you're not going to enjoy it. Why would you want to do something you're not going to enjoy? Now, here's the other part of it. Is that men are more hairy, and men have more odor, right? Because the bacteria latches onto the hair. And so, at least the yoga studios that I've been to, just keep this in mind is all I'm saying. So the yoga studios that I've been to offer free deodorant, free spray deodorant in the bathrooms. So try to be a little cognizant. Give yourself a little spray. They also, you also might want to consider shaving your armpits. I know that's not a big thing for men, but it's really cool. And you'll be way more attractive to women if you do that. You won't stink as much. And you, I don't know. I know guys that shave their armpits, and I love that. I think that the guy that is that cognizant of his personal hygiene is pretty hot. So, and you know, if you want to attract women, or you're want to be attractive to women, you'll do things that are women like. Not all women like that. Some women like hairy guys, I guess. But I think they just say that, really, to be honest. But whatever. I don't know. I can't speak for anyone but myself. The final thing is, yeah, powder up your balls. I'm sorry. You can't smell them. The rest of us can. No one's going to tell you because it's really gross. It's really gross. But yeah, you're doing downward dog, you're kicking your leg up, you're doing three-legged dog. God, that's the worst. That's the worst. You don't take a shower before, sometimes, yeah, I take a shower before I go to yoga. Why? Because I don't want to stink. And I don't want to be dirty and then get sweaty. That's the worst, like when you feel that like oily dirt on you. No. So, no one's going to tell you this but me. But it's true. We could smell them. We don't want to smell them. It's awful. It's really awful. It's disgusting. You're not going to smell it because it usually emanates from behind you. And it's not good. So try to be cognizant of that. If you feel like people are avoiding you in class and not wanting to go near you, like put their mat near you, because we don't, because guaranteed to smell something. Now, the guy today, God bless your soul, didn't smell. Awesome. That was so great because I had 2 guys around me and I didn't smell anything, and that's rare. But God bless you for that, at least. You could do 70,000 handstands, I don't care. You could stay in the handstand the whole class, I don't care. As long as you don't smell, that is way more intrusive than any other ridiculous thing you could do. So, but keep in mind, if you're already feeling uncomfortable because you're in this milieu that is not where you're not the majority, then, just try to do things that make you less put offish. Right? Bottom line, no one's going to tell you after class, and no one cares enough. They're just going to avoid you in the future. And if you notice in class, yeah, there's usually spots around the guys. And the guys are usually in their little area and I don't blame you for wanting to stick together. That's cool. And that's good. I'd rather you all stick together. But I don't want to discourage you from yoga. I want to encourage you from yoga. And that's why I'm telling you these things, because, it needs to be an environment that is attractive to everyone. And I hope you take these words of advice in that vein. I'm not trying to dissuade anyone. I'm not trying to make anyone feel uncomfortable. I'm just sharing tips that I think will help you to actually feel more comfortable. If you don't like the tips that I gave you, don't take them. If you don't like what I said, okay. All right, put a sock in it. But yes, we need more men in yoga, and you shouldn't feel uncomfortable. So I want to help you as much as I can to not feel uncomfortable. That's it. Namaste. Peace out.